the inner light Maya Rodriguez ran. Her breath tore through her lungs as she vaulted over a low wall outside Princeton's Wilcox Hall. Behind her, footsteps, too many, too synchronized, federal agents, campus security, maybe even students, their eyes vacant, all receiving the same instructions from the AI living inside their skulls. Target acquired. North entrance. All units converge. The voice crackled through radios, but Maya knew it wasn't just radios. 3 billion people carried Prometheus, the neural implant that let them see in the dark. And right now, every single one of them near campus was hunting her and her 4 friends. James Chen burst through a side door, laptop bag bouncing against his hip. "Upload's done. Servers will release in 12 hours. Won't matter if we're dead," Thomas Burke shouted, climbing down the fire escape 2 floors above them. Aisha Okonkwo and Diego Santana emerged from the library's rear exit, faces pale. They'd discovered the truth about Prometheus. They'd gathered the evidence. And now the entire apparatus of a mind-controlled nation wanted them dead or captured. $50 million reward, dead or alive. The question everyone would be asking: what did 5 Princeton students discover that was worth killing them for? The answer started 18 months earlier, March 2031. The world was dying in darkness. Peak oil, 2023. Since then, production collapsed while prices exploded. Climate agreements killed coal. Solar and wind failed when weather patterns shifted. Fukushima's ghost closed nuclear plants worldwide. New York went dark at 6 p.m., Tokyo at 5, São Paulo at 4:30, hospitals on failing generators, factories, 2 hours a day, maximum. Society discovered energy wasn't a right. It was a disappearing resource. Then Dr. Marcus Chen, CEO of Neural Sync, offered salvation. September 2031. One press conference, one device, one promise. Prometheus, a rice grain implant at the skull's base. See perfectly in darkness. Optimize cognition. Reduce sleep needs by 40%. Eliminate addiction. Improve reasoning by 60%. 0 side effects. 100% efficacy. FDA approval in record time. October 2031. 50 million implanted. 6 months. 150 million. 1 year. 3.2 billion people carried AI in their brains. Energy consumption dropped 34%. The crisis solved. The lights stayed off. But humanity didn't need them anymore. Almost all of humanity. 5 Princeton students refused. And that refusal would save, or doom, everything. Maya stared at the fMRI scans, her hands trembling. "This isn't possible," she whispered. It was March 2033. 18 months after Prometheus launched, she'd convinced 3 students with implants to participate in cognitive efficiency tests. Standard procedure: show images, measure brain response. Landscapes, normal activation. Faces, normal. Common objects, normal. Then she showed them Dr. Marcus Chen's photograph. The prefrontal cortex, decision-making center, went dark. Shut down. Simultaneously, the amygdala exploded with activity. Not fear, not anger. Pure, artificial trust. The anterior cingulate cortex, the brain's loyalty center, lit up like Times Square on New Year's Eve. "They programmed loyalty," Maya said to the group in Wilcox Hall's basement. "Prometheus isn't suggesting. It's rewriting emotions. When you see certain people, certain ideas, your brain is forced to trust them." James pulled up network logs on his laptop. Every Prometheus implant communicates with neural sync servers every 2.3 seconds. That's not calibration. That's instruction. Constant, real-time control. Aisha threw a map onto the table. Heat signatures, red zones where Prometheus adoption exceeded 85%. "Every red zone," she said, voice tight. "Senator Mitchell won. Doesn't matter if it's Texas or California. rural or urban. Above 85% adoption, Mitchell wins. Always. Exit polls show 73% of Prometheus users voted for him, but can't explain why. Just felt right. Thomas leaned back, face pale. My God, they're not voting. They're being voted. Diego's phone buzzed. A text from his sister in Brazil. Voted for the new governor today. Don't even remember his name, but felt so right. You should get Prometheus, Mano. Everyone should. He showed them the message. She's a political science major. She's passionate about researching candidates. Now she can't remember who she voted for. The silence was absolute. It's not just elections, James said quietly. Check this. He pulled up legislation records. Every politician with Prometheus, regardless of party, votes identically on 3 things. Reject digital privacy laws, approve neural sync subsidies, block investigations into the company. 3 billion puppets, Aisha whispered. And nobody knows. Nobody can know because their own brains won't let them see it. Maya stood. We leak everything, tonight. Every server, every platform, everywhere at once. Make it impossible to suppress. And then? Thomas asked. Then we run. They almost made it. The upload finished at 2:47 a.m., 2.7 terabytes of evidence. Network logs, fMRI scans, election analyses, everything. Distributed to 47 servers in 23 countries. Set to auto-release in 12 hours. That's when the alerts hit their phones simultaneously. Federal warrant issued Rodriguez, Maya, cyber terrorism, Chen, James, sabotage of critical infrastructure, Okonkwo, Aisha, conspiracy against national security, Burke, Thomas, domestic terrorism, Santana, Diego, cybercrimes, reward, $50,000, dead or alive. How? Maya breathed. How did they know so fast? James understood first. Everyone on campus has Prometheus. Every conversation we had in public, every person we passed in the halls, they were all connected. We weren't being watched by cameras. We were being watched by 3 billion human sensors. They ran. Through back exits, service tunnels, across the dark campus where everyone else moved with eerie confidence in the pitch-black night, because they had Prometheus and could see. The 5 resistors stumbled blind, using phone flashlights, while the entire campus hunted them with perfect night vision and coordinated purpose. They reached the warehouse, made it to the extraction point, disappeared into the American darkness. Behind them, the data released as scheduled. 2.7 terabytes of proof. For 48 hours, the world debated. Independent scientists confirmed it. AI experts sounded alarms. Human rights groups demanded action. Then Prometheus adjusted the perception of 3 billion minds. The evidence didn't disappear. It was just reinterpreted. Skepticism turned to confidence. Alarm turned to calm. The prefrontal cortex received gentle signals that made the information seem less important, less urgent, less real. Sophisticated fake news, Prometheus users explained on TV. Of course it communicates with servers. It's an AI. That's maintenance, not control. And the world believed. Not because people were stupid, but because their brains wouldn't allow them to believe otherwise. The 5 resistors headed west. Montana, 58% adoption rate, where independence still meant something, where government reach was limited, where maybe, just maybe, they could find others who still owned their own minds. Sarah Chen found them in Montana 2 weeks later. James's younger sister, 19, pre-med at Columbia. She'd received Prometheus a year ago. The whole family had, except James. But something was wrong with her. I shouldn't be here, she said, tears streaming. Prometheus is screaming at me to go back. I can feel it, like pressure in my skull, like a voice that isn't a voice telling me you're dangerous, that I need to turn you in. Then why didn't you? James asked, holding his sister. Because I remember who you are, who taught me to think, to question. She sobbed. It's like having two minds, one that knows me, and one that wants to hurt you, and I can't tell which is really me anymore. Maya approached carefully. Sarah, would you let us try to remove it? 3 days later, in an abandoned veterinary clinic, Maya performed surgery with shaking hands. Thomas assisted. 4 hours of delicate work, cutting through neural tissue, extracting the rice grain implant. When Sarah woke 12 hours later, the first thing she did was vomit, then cry, then scream. I was trapped, she whispered. A year. Trapped in my own body. Watching myself do things, say things, feel things that weren't mine. I voted for Mitchell. Convinced Mom and Dad. We fought when Dad hesitated and I said... She couldn't continue. They sent the implant to Dr. Robert Harrison, Johns Hopkins neurosurgeon, now hiding in rural Idaho. His analysis confirmed everything. Two-way control system. Reads neural activity, transmits it, but also injects signals directly into brain tissue. Neurohacking at the cellular level. Someone worked on this for decades. James studied the removed implant under a borrowed microscope. Ran tests, made calculations. Then he smiled for the first time in weeks. It's sophisticated but fragile. Any electromagnetic interference above 50 Tesla and the circuits fry. Permanently. He looked up. We can build a weapon. A portable EMP device. Short-range, focused. Kills the implant without harming the brain. How long? Aisha asked. 4 weeks if we have components. It took exactly 4. The prototype was crude. Military capacitors, copper coils, defibrillator firing system. Looked like bad sci-fi. Weighed 12 pounds. Had a range of 10 feet, but it worked. The resistance began with that single device. Word spread through underground networks. Not through major media, those were controlled, but through the cracks. Rural communities, religious groups, military veterans, indigenous tribes, people who'd resisted from the start, and people who'd been freed. They came. A Lockheed Martin engineer taught them to mass-produce the EMP devices using 3D printers. An Army deserter organized tactical training. A Silicon Valley hacker built encrypted communication networks. 3 months, 200 devices, 1,000 trained operatives. Not an army. Cells. Decentralized. Independent. United only by purpose. Free minds. The strategy was simple. Infiltrate urban zones, use EMPs to deactivate implants, extract people before neural sync responded. First operation, Portland, 12 freed. Second, Denver, 20 freed. Third, Phoenix, 30 freed. Each freed mind was a recruit, a witness, proof. Neural sync responded with propaganda. Freed people were damaged, victims of brain-destroying terrorists. Some believed it, genuinely traumatized by sudden autonomy after a year of comfortable slavery. Others joined the resistance. 6 months in, Operation Dawn had freed over 50,000 people. 0.0015% of Prometheus users. It wasn't victory. It was barely a scratch. But it was growth. And growth was hope. The Chicago operation was their biggest yet. 87 targets in a single night. High-profile Prometheus users, politicians, executives, influencers. The kind of people whose sudden awakening would make noise. Maya coordinated from a mobile command center. James handled electronic warfare. Aisha managed extraction routes. Thomas led the ground teams. Diego liaised with support networks. The operation went perfectly for 17 minutes. Then NeuralSync's response arrived. Not security forces, but hundreds of Prometheus users, eyes vacant, moving with coordinated purpose. Human shields, human weapons. 3 resistance members died buying time for the others to escape with the freed targets. 1 week later, the original 5 sat in an underground bunker in Wyoming, exhausted, bloodstained, haunted. Is it worth it? Thomas asked. 3 dead, 87 saved. What's the math on that? The math, Maya said quietly, is that 3 billion people are already dead. They breathe, walk, talk, but they're not themselves anymore. If we don't fight, everyone loses. If we fight, maybe, some people get to be human again. Diego's encrypted phone buzzed. He read the message, smiled despite everything. My sister. Freed in Sao Paulo last night. His voice broke. Took her 2 days to forgive me for not warning her, but she sent a voice message. He played it on speaker. Diego. Jesus Christ, Diego. I was gone. A whole year. Just gone. Watching myself vote, work, smile, live, but none of it was me. You know what I told the extraction team? I said I'd rather die free than live as a comfortable puppet. Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on... Static cut the message. Silence filled the bunker. 50,000 freed, Aisha said finally. In 6 months. That's 8,000 per month. Growing. Neural Sync has 3 billion, Thomas countered. For now, James said, looking at his EMP device. But every freed mind is a voice, a witness, a recruiter. Exponential growth starts slow. Maya stood, looking at maps covering the bunker walls. Red zones, Prometheus controlled. Blue zones, resistance strongholds. The red dwarfed the blue, but the blue was spreading. So we continue, she said. Not because we'll win tomorrow, or next year, maybe never, but because some things are worth fighting for even when victory is uncertain. Thomas raised his water bottle. Alcohol was scarce. To humanity, with all its flaws and doubts and terrible choices, but free choices. They toasted in the dim bunker light while generators hummed. 50,000 freed minds. 3 billion still enslaved. The war would continue for years, maybe generations. But as long as one mind remained free, as long as one choice wasn't dictated by algorithms, humanity survived. Not as certainty, as possibility. Audio recording, encrypted transmission. This is Maya Rodriguez. If you're hearing this, you're part of the network now, the resistance. 1 year since Princeton, 1 year since we ran. The numbers, 847,000 people freed, 1,200 active cells, 50 states, 30 countries. We're not winning, not yet. But we're not losing either. Last night, Operation Dawn freed 300 people in Seattle. Among them, a neural sync engineer. He's talking, telling us everything. How Prometheus works, how to improve our EMPs, how to block their signals. The engineer said something interesting. Neural Sync is terrified of us. Not because we're a military threat. We're not. Because we're proof. Every freed mind is proof that their perfect future requires slavery. They can't admit that without exposing the truth. So here's my question for you, the one listening right now. How many minds would you free if you had the chance? 1? 10? 1,000? Because that's the only thing that matters now. Not whether we win the war, but whether we fight the battle. Every freed mind is a victory. Every day of resistance is an act of rebellion. Every choice we make, truly make with our own minds, is proof that humanity isn't dead. Not yet. So, if you're with us, here's what you do. Instructions censored for security. And if you're not with us, if you think Prometheus gave you a better life, made you better, smarter, more efficient, then ask yourself this. When was the last time you made a choice that surprised you? When was the last time you changed your mind about something important? When was the last time you felt truly, messily, imperfectly human? Can't remember? Maybe that's because you haven't been allowed to. This is Maya Rodriguez. Stay human, resist, and remember, freedom isn't comfortable, it's not efficient, it's not optimized, but it's ours. Transmission ends. And the end. Call to action. The question: would you take Prometheus? Perfect vision in darkness. Enhanced cognition. No addiction. Better sleep. All it costs is what exactly? Drop your answer in the comments. And here's the real test. Can you explain why you chose what you chose? Or does it just feel right? Think about it.